advertising to huge companies and not penetrating the list enough. So you have companies like Orange, Apple, that basically you need to cap and keep constant track of the audiences you advertise to, not to burn the budgets on these huge companies.
This episode is brought to you by Warmly. Warmly is an AI-powered GTM assistant that helps your outbound team stop wasting time and start targeting the right people at the right time. Here's the play. Your SDRs open LinkedIn, and instead of cold scrolling, they get real-time signals like who is researching solutions like yours, who just switched jobs, or who recently viewed your site. No CRM updates, no lead lists, just useful context surfaced where they already work. If you're doing outbound in 2025 and not using Warmly, you are behind. Try it for free at www.warmly.ai.
In this episode of the GTM Engineering Podcast, I talk to MJ, founder of ZenABM. After 13 years as a software engineer, MJ built ZenABM to solve problem most B2B marketers know well: LinkedIn ads that don't connect to pipeline. What began as an internal tool at User Pilot is now helping companies de-anonymize and ad engagement, enrich it with CRM data, and turn it into sales action. We discussed why marketers spend half of their time trying to attribute things and the other half stitching data to justify it, and how automation changes that. MJ broke down the biggest mistakes in LinkedIn ABM, like overly narrowing targeting, wasted spend on big logos, and ignoring API blind spots, and also shared practical ways to avoid them. You'll also hear how teams are using ZenABM for intent-driven LinkedIn campaigns, automated outreach, and even minimum viable ABM programs on lean budget. Here's my conversation with MJ.
MJ, welcome. Nice to have you here, man. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. Hello.
You got some nice virtual background. It reminded me of my days in San Francisco.
When was that?
I go like every year on and off. I was just there like 4 months ago. But it reminded me more like the first time I went there, which was like 2017 when I was building the first startup. I used to go and see this view pretty much like every week. And now you pick up all people. But anyways, happy to have you here. And just want to start with a little bit of background information about yourself. What do you do? How did you come up with the idea? I'll leave the mic to you.
So I'm the technical guy. I worked as a software engineer for 13 years now, so quite a long time. I've seen a lot in software industry. I worked in many companies of different sizes, like from huge ones like Ericsson to very small startups when I was in the founding teams. And yeah, a couple of years back, I decided like it's time to build my own thing. So we tried a couple of things, and right now I'm building ZenABM when I'm a co-founder and CTO. And yeah, the ZenABM is a tool that helps you de-anonymize LinkedIn ad engagements and basically enrich that data and push it in your CRM. And for a little bit of background story of how it came to be, is that my fiance works as a VP of marketing in a bigger company called User Pilot, and they basically at some point decided that they want to start running ads on LinkedIn and do ABM there. And they did a lot of trial and error, used a couple of different tools, and they just couldn't find the one that would basically allow them to structure this in a more logical way, but also pull this data inside instead of just relying on the API and interconnecting stuff from different endpoints to basically get a more of a 360 view of how these ads are performing, how companies are interacting with their creatives, and so on and so forth. So they spoke to a bunch of guys that were running tools in the space, but no one was willing to go into the direction that they wanted to. And everyone claimed it was impossible. Turned out it is possible, but you gotta stretch your muscles a little bit. So that's what we decided to do. So I built this initially as an internal tool for them, and it turned out that it became so useful that we decided to open it to a broader market. And yeah, it's been going great so far.
I mean, that's a great space to build ABM. I say this to everyone that are having the conversation with. And I love it that you guys built this based on your problem. First try to internally and then released it to public as well. Can you we have a lot of people who have a marketing background in B2B SaaS marketers. Can you walk us through what ZenABM is what problems ZenABM is solving for B2B marketers who are in ABM campaigns right now.
Yeah. So if you want to run ABM to like one to many using LinkedIn, it's fairly hard to attribute how things are going and basically get a good grasp, especially if you target different lists and audiences. LinkedIn Campaign Manager, it's not a very user-friendly tool. It's the matter with the corporations that they kind of move slow when they're so big and bloated. And there's a lot of stuff you can actually do with LinkedIn data and with their API, and this is where we come in. So basically, ZenABM is a tool where you plug in LinkedIn, you just authorize us, we're registered in LinkedIn's marketplace as an app. We grab your data, connect data from the bunch of different endpoints, and we show you how your ads are performing, how companies are interacting with your specific campaigns and campaign groups. And we allow you to basically define intents. So what messaging these companies are interacting with, the ABM campaigns. We offer analytics out of the box and a two-way sync with your HubSpot or other CRMs through webhooks. So we basically enrich this data that you do with your marketing to the place where your sales live, because ultimately what you want to do is enable your sales team to sell better, right?
Mhm. And like you guys plug directly into LinkedIn ads and CRM, right? So I'm curious to know, like, what does this enable marketers to do that they couldn't do before?
So for example, like, okay, let's put it this way. You can do a lot of things if you spend a lot of time on manual work. But if you actually want to focus on creating great creatives and thinking about campaigns instead of spending hours on being a RevOps, and it seems like these days marketers are spending half of their time trying to attribute things and the other half of the time stitch the data to justify the attribution they come up with. And that's not how things should be. At least that's what we believe in. So we allow you to basically define what's these intents, so what the companies are interacting with, push it directly and easily into the CRM, and based on that, especially in HubSpot, you can build some really great automations and sequences, so you can reach out to the companies that are hot right now with the messaging that's relevant right now, because that's what they've been showing interest on, but also because we allow you to define a bunch of stuff specifically for ABM. You have all of these attributions in place. So we directly associate the deals you have in your HubSpot with the companies you advertise to. We show you how much pipeline is being opened based on the ads that you're showing to these companies, how fast it is closing. So basically, we give you this kind of like certainty and predictability that the money you spent on LinkedIn, and it's not the cheapest platform to advertise on, is actually well spent and is bringing you the results. And if it's not, we have a bunch of like leading metrics that allow you to correct your course while you're cruising instead of crashing into the end of the budget and then realizing that this did not work.
That's very cool. And when you mentioned the automations, like, do you have in a couple of free heads some of these like cool automations that you've seen ZenABM users are doing?
Yeah, so because you can define and easily identify what specific campaigns, campaign groups, and soon we'll be doing this on creatives level, these companies interact with. We saw some of our customers basically define automations where the first step of the sale is actually having great response, but it's fully automated. And the way it works is that we offer account scoring that you can define based on both your CRM data, a bunch of external sources, bunch of LinkedIn data. So when a company reaches a certain stage, a company that you advertise to, and you know that, okay, they're interested, they've been clicking on our ads, visiting our website, and they also, for example, are interested in these specific features, then these companies land in specific email sequence. So some of our customers define like 50 plus email sequences. And the first step of the sale process is actually these automated sequence, reach to this company, send these emails about this thing because they reached this stage. And once they hear back from them and the response great because you talk to them about what they want to be talked about, was great, then it's being picked up by BDRs or SDRs to basically continue the conversation. So bunch of work, manual work being taken off the plate and actually enabling the sales to have a more hot leads, I guess, to work on.
It's very cool. And since we talked about lead scoring and account scoring, but I see that a lot of people actually, have problems with this when it comes to ABM. How does scoring and intent detection actually works in practice for users?
Yeah, so the account scoring, we kind of have some now with the customers that we have, and we observe what they do, and we talk to them regularly. We kind of have a decent idea, which shaped what we suggest users to do out of the box. So when you sign up to ZenABM, you get this predefined funnel that you can then customize based on your needs. But we have some ideas of how it can look like when you advertise on LinkedIn. But the truth is that the CRM holds enormous amount of data, usually, that people just don't tap into. So we encourage them, we talk to our customers regularly to basically define this funnel in ZenABM based on a lot of properties and stuff that they already hold in their CRM. And this way, this plus the intents that they, so start actions that their customers take and store in CRM. So like booking a demo, maybe downloading a white paper, maybe visiting specific pages, and you know that because you have RB2B or Vector, a bunch of these other tools as well. All of that can fit into this scoring, which then can be used, as I said, to either automate it or basically pass it to specific BDRs with the contextual information of what they should be talking to these users about.
That's great. So there are three things that I'm seeing on my feed all the time. One, um, GEO or whatever you're calling it right now. Two is like I've replaced my complete sales team and marketing team with gazillions of AI agents, and now like one person full time full managing 10 million. And then the third thing is ABM, right? So and I'm curious to know, since like you must be having a conversation with people, a lot of people who are doing ABM, and like I'm curious to know like what are the biggest mistakes that you see companies are doing on the ABM side of things?
So specifically on LinkedIn, when they run the ads, this is our space. So I have pretty good idea of the common mistakes there and common maybe misunderstandings. So there are things that people just don't know because they kind of live in LinkedIn's API documentation. Uh, for example, if you advertise to companies and less than 3 people from a company clicks on your ads, so even if the CFO clicks 50 times, you will never know because they want to protect users' privacy. So you need more than 3 people clicking on the ads, for example, uh, and you need more than one interaction per person. So they don't really understand who's clicking on that. They don't really keep track of which campaigns people are interacting with, but they also maybe define the scopes of who they are advertised to a bit too narrow, which does not necessarily help you with bringing good results. But also stuff like advertising to huge companies and not penetrating the list enough. So you have companies like Orange, Apple. Well, I'm going with fruits, but let's put Ericsson there or something that I'm not listing fruits. But basically, you need to cap and keep constant track of the audiences you advertise to, not to burn the budgets on these huge companies, and actually penetrate the list further to basically get the best use and the best value out of the budget you're spending on LinkedIn.
How like what do you think is like the best way to structure the in ABM campaigns over?
Oh, that's a very broad question. We have actually we do have a consulting offering, so we help a bunch of companies on structuring these campaigns and how to make it make sense, even to the level of naming their assets and specific campaigns to make sense out of it and logically. But it's not something that is easy enough to answer on a podcast. But happy to share with some folks if they reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Maybe we'll do another episode about it later on.
Yeah, but happy to share like some templates that we have. This is going to be actually embedded into the tool later on. So because we worked with so many people and we saw them opening deals, closing deals, and basically having success on LinkedIn, and we worked with them on like consulting strategy basis as well, we already have a decent idea of how your campaigns could and should be structured. So that's going to be embedded into the tool, I think, later this year. So we'll just come in, talk to us a little bit of how your tool works, who you advertise to, and we're gonna basically give you kind of like a cookbook of how do you get started, how do you structure things.
That's great. I mean, I would love to embed those templates in the under the podcast of those episode as well. Also, like, do you think most companies are over investing or under investing in LinkedIn ads for ABM? And what do you do about this?
Well, my strong opinion is they might be investing, but I understand like the concerns that LinkedIn is expensive. The ads are fairly expensive compared to some other places, but also one of the key reasons in like the philosophical level of why we started as an ABM is that ABM used to be run on these advertising display platforms, and they charge you 6 figures for the subscription, another 6 figures for basically the ad placement. They take a cut out of that because they have deals with the advertisers and so on and so forth. So first, you spend huge amount to advertise there, and second, in this age where everyone works from home or from WeWorks, etc., the accuracy of the data that they actually present, that people actually clicking on these ads, is based on the research that we saw is like around 28%. So probably like 1 out of 3 or out of 4 messages you're gonna send to these people are gonna be relevant, and 2 out of are gonna be a miss basically because you get wrong data, bad data. I'm not even mentioning the GDPR and not identifying visitors from Europe, which is a 500 million people market. So we believe LinkedIn offers first party data, so you know exactly from which companies who clicks there. Yes, you won't know the person, but you will know the company. So with an educated guess, understanding the messaging that you're serving to these people, you can get a pretty good idea of who from these companies might be interested in and interacting with these ads. So I think it's still not tapped on enough, and the market data that we're seeing actually confirms that. So the spend on LinkedIn grows year over year. People are spending billions of dollars of LinkedIn in ads, so it's growing, and I think it's only going to grow. The platform is growing, the ad spend is growing.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the reasons why people shy away from anything that has ABM in it, because there's this notion in the market that people think that if they want to start doing ABM, they need like a high six-figure or like a seven-figure cruise type before they can do anything, right? So,
Yeah,
and that's
luckily that's not the case anymore, and that's something that we're trying to help with. So we saw great success so far, and our customers are seeing great success, starting with far less than buying these 6 figure tools. So
yeah. Since we're talking about the success, uh, are there like any campaigns or workplace you've seen from your customers that were surprisingly well with the ZenABM?
I wouldn't name specific campaigns, but I'm gonna say this: we have customers from industries that I did not expect us to work with. So, like manufacturing, we have companies that have satellites in space and satellites images. We have agriculture companies. So, a lot of different industries, not just SaaS, which is obviously our biggest customer base, and SaaS lives on LinkedIn. Have a lot of like there are hundreds of thousands of decision makers on LinkedIn that you can reach and basically nurture throughout the sell process with specific ads. You can retarget them with basically for free with LinkedIn if you do it right, and I can like expand on this a little bit later. So I can't name specific campaigns, but overall I think it's still a channel that is not utilized to the fullest, and the sooner you guys get into it, probably the better for you.
Yeah. And like, what about marketing for you? Like, how did you guys get your initial clients? Like, uh, any role play that worked for you there? Anything that you've done differently?
So the initial first wave of success, let's call it this way, was this was internally built for user pilot, and it was mentioned in the case study that they run with one of the I don't know if I can name him, but one of the influencers about growth, and it went fairly viral. And the reason for this is like we asked, like, yeah, we built this, you guys use it for free. Can you like put real numbers in there? Can we have like real data? And obviously this question was not needed because that's how they run things. So everyone understood like what you actually can get out of running LinkedIn or ABM campaigns, and a lot of people were interested in that. So we've been talking to a bunch of companies, and other than that, we obviously eating our own food. So LinkedIn ads for us as well is the channel that we're tapping into, working with, looking into expanding more on.
That's nice. I should go and check what that class that you guys are running as well if you're still running. And also like I remember like I asked a question a couple of minutes ago, like how would you go about designing Infinitely. But if I reframe that question into something real, like if you had to design like, let's say, minimum viable ABM campaign, limited resources on LinkedIn, what would that look like?
I think one of the coolest use cases that we recently had, and a lot of people are using it, like building this kind of like retargeting campaign. So the steps are fairly simple. You just install the pixel on your page, pricing page, and then LinkedIn basically identifies the companies that are coming to your website, and you feed that into being a target on LinkedIn, target audience, right? So you suddenly have this information somehow living in the LinkedIn. You don't know yet who's visiting that, but you have this audience based on the pixel. So serve text ads to these audiences. No one clicks text ads, so the spend are going to be minimum if you do cost per click, but you will still see impressions. So you will kind of have free uh, de-anonymization of the companies visiting that page, and then you can send that to Clay. If we have webhooks, so you can run these ads, create a webhook in ZenABM directly into Clay. Every row, every company that went to your website, we de-anonymized it. We send it to Clay. You enrich it. That's going to be somewhat expensive, but you can do a bunch of stuff in Clay to make it not so expensive. But you suddenly get a free, very accurate first party data of the companies that were visiting your website, and the ad spend is a minimal part of it. So you can, for example, design a campaign like this. Webhooks and ABM are going to facilitate basically sending it for enrichment, and you're good to go.
Yeah, text ads are great, and I don't see a lot of people are using them. I feel like it's underrated. Um, Probably, and I was afraid like you see a lot of people are using it.
We're creating these like cookbooks. The Clay have Clay books, but we're gonna have like some sort of recipes as well, because we already have like some best practices. So we're putting it together. It's gonna be available on our website and in app as well. I'm gonna be posting some of these ideas and what stuff that people do on LinkedIn. But yeah, like we gotta be honest, like with AI being so popular, that affected SEO industry. And when SEO as a channel took a hit, because it's took a hit in general, like be honest, and every listener should be honest. Do you even like go to Google and clicks on links, or do you type in an AI overview 9 out of 10 times is probably sufficient for you? At least that's the case for me and most of the people I talk to. Or you go directly into your Claude or ChatGPT, and that's also fairly popular. So with SEO kind of drying down, like the companies are obviously looking for different channels, and that's how the whole GTM engineering movement recently have came to be, with all of these great tools in space. So yeah, obviously it's fresh and underutilized, and this is the great time, the best time to be in, I guess, in this space and working on it, and like using this to your advantage, that people are still stuck in their own way. So if you're nimble and agile, and you have like smart people who can connect the dots and actually not get uh, all this data that is available, actually put it to use. Because one of the problems that I see is that people can come up with a lot of data, but it's actually not really actionable, or maybe it's too much data. So even if you know all of these things, like how do you make sense of it? What do you do with that data?
Yeah, that is true. That is true, man. I'm looking forward to see like the recipes and plugins that you guys are gonna put to website as well. Like once they're live, just ping me. I'll also update podcast episode and make sure they do all those things. Last question from my end is like if somebody's listening to this podcast and they want to try ZenABM, or they want to know more about you and the tool, what is the best way to connect with you?
Uh, Well, zenabm.com, free trials, 37 days. So plenty of time to basically get the value out of it. And you can try all the features on that, test it out. We also help people with the setup and consulting and strategy. You can find me on LinkedIn. We can put my profiles in there, in the podcast description as well. I'm fairly active, post a lot, try to post a lot. I'm engineering is my nature, so obviously I'm not that great of a writer, but I'm trying. So yeah, LinkedIn is the best.
Yeah, man, at least you're trying. Most people and you live, you don't try it. I guess like a lot of people are also getting too much with it because everyone's playing that it reaches down. But yeah, you're close to getting my attention. I mean, I see, of course.
Yeah, reach on LinkedIn is uh used to be nicer. Let's put it this way.
I know. It used to be nicer. But thank you so much, man. I love the episode. It was super valuable. Hopefully we'll have another one soon, and I'll speak to you.
Cheers. Thank you.